If you use these 5 things, you don't need to have all the skill in the world. Your value, your unforgettableness is based on things that you can do every day regardless of your skill level. Chad Peterman here, and you are listening to Can't Stop the Growth, a platform for leaders and teams to grow and thrive. We highlight the importance of personal development, pursuing greatness, and always chasing your potential. Let's get into it. The topic of today and what we're going to talk about is how to be more unforgettable. So, it may sound weird. We talk about leadership as be inspiring or leadership as influence. And at the end of the day, those that continue to lead and grow their leadership presence, they're really unforgettable. Think about the people that you know within this organization, and they're the people that are most unforgettable. You can't go anywhere without knowing that they're there or feeling their presence or not being able to, in some instances, operate the way we do without these particular people. And so what I try to do is really try to look at these people and understand why they're successful. Why are they unforgettable? And so I've got 5 different things that I think these people encompass. And so as we go through these, what I'd like you to do is just think about how do you embody these 5 things? Or where could you potentially get better at one of them? Hey, none of us are perfect. Where could you potentially improve what it is that you're doing today or set yourself up for advancement utilizing these 5 things? So the first one is urgency. One of the things that I have observed over my 12 years of being here, the one thing that separates people, the successful technicians, the successful managers, the successful whatever it may be, is urgency. The people that are just ready to go. There's no coasting. There's no crossing my fingers and hope we get there. It is go, go, go. Now, why is that so important? We've all heard the common phrase, work smarter, not harder. I don't know that that really encompasses it, because to me, what that says is as long as you can work smart, then you shouldn't have to work hard. Unfortunately, I don't think that's how it works. I think it is harder, smarter, then harder again, because we're always looking to improve. Where I see this most often is in the smarter, not harder category is when we grow a department. When we start to get people under us that are doing kind of the day-to-day, there's a tendency for us to be able to step back and not do the day-to-day. But in all reality, that's the best time to dive back in. Where can we help? What can I do to continue to make this better? Again, urgency. We're not good. We're keeping it going. We're going to get better. The person in this building, and I know I'm biased, that has the most urgency, sometimes to his detriment, is my brother. My brother knows nothing about sewer and excavation, but he can single-handedly run that entire department because he is the most urgent person on the face of the planet. He gets stuff done. If you ever want to watch and see what urgency looks like, watch him in the morning and watch him throughout the day. It's the reason why we have such a hard time finding a person to fit in that role, because he is so urgent. And finding somebody with that, who wants to do that, who wants to operate at that level, is difficult. It's hard. I have to talk to him every time we go to this. I go, they're not going to do it like you. There's just no way. They won't do it. So it's not going to be perfect. Please don't get mad. You're going to get mad anyway, so I don't even know why I say that. But again, his urgency covers up what he doesn't know. He doesn't have to have 30 years of experience because he's got urgency. So think about that in your role. I'm sure some of you are in newer roles or roles where, hey, I don't have all the answers, or I don't even know if I'm the best person to do this. Urgency solves a lot of stuff. It is your best friend. Move, move, move. You want to become unforgettable? Be the most urgent person in your department. Always be doing something. Always be getting better. Always be helping somebody. The minute that you find yourself sitting there and taking a break and relaxing is the minute that someone's going to pass you and the minute that you are no longer moving towards getting better. What do you need to work on? We can all make a list right now, but everybody could write down 5 to 10 things of like, hey, yeah, I got to get better at this, or my department could get better at this. Go do something about it. Write down those 10 things and then find the 2 things that are going to be most impactful and then go after those 2 things. Again, harder, smarter, then harder again. So what are the 2 things that you can control? Because the other thing urgency does is you take complete ownership over your results. There is no blaming other things. There is no blaming this or, well, the weather wasn't here or this or that, or we didn't have enough calls or we couldn't see this or that. No, urgency rolls over all of that. There is a way, and it usually goes to the person who's willing to be the most urgent. The next piece that I see that a lot of people around here that are successful have is an owner's mindset. They act like they own this company. I was listening to a podcast earlier this morning, and they were talking about you're never working for somebody. You're always working for yourself. That's true. I never thought about it like that, but that's true. You're working to get better at what it is that you do. How would your actions change today if you owned the company? What would that look like? What kind of pride would you take in your work? There are a lot of people around here that I am extremely grateful for because they treat this place like it's their own. And I love that. Keep doing it. That's how we're going to get better. I had a technician that sent me an email last night saying that, hey, the call-by-call is working really well, and I know that there's some technicians that are having some problems with it. If you need my help, I'm more than happy to help. Sweet. Sent him back a message, said, hey, I don't know of any right now, but I will look into it, and I appreciate the feedback. My buddy Greg Johnson, guy sends me a novel of an email just about every month. I love it. Hey, I think we could do this, or hey, have we ever thought about this, or no, but sure, we'll look into it. He is the field supervisor up in that area in Fort Wayne. When he emailed me about that position, like a year ago, he said, hey, I think these guys could really use some help up here, and I think that I could really help them out and do different stuff. Did it happen right then? No. But he was looking out for everybody else. What could you be doing today that would help the company as a whole? What does that look like? I'm sure you all could think of things. Hey, this could really be better. Or this really sucks, but no one said anything. We ought to probably fix that, but, well, hell, I don't want to do it. Why not? If you want to become unforgettable, now is the time to step up and go fix those things. There's a lot of stuff going on around here. And oftentimes, the people closest to it know what the problem is, and more than likely, they know how to fix it too. I certainly don't. I'm relying on everybody else. But you can be that person. You can step up. You can say, hey, this is broke, and I'm going to help fix it. Because I think that's what's best for the company. If we're all rowing in that same direction, what does that start to look like? Pretty impactful, I would think. There is no recipe for taking on that mindset and pushing forward. You don't have to have all the answers, but simply raising your hand and saying, hey, I think we can make this better, rather than going off in a corner and just complaining about it. Well, damn it, do something about it. Let's go. That's why I love our quarterly surveys. You know what I've told all the managers? I said, don't worry about fixing anything. Whatever issues they give you, just give it right back to them and ask them how to fix it. More than likely, they have all the answers. Why would you go try to fix something that's a problem? They'll fix it. How should we fix these things? Because we're all doing it together. Doesn't matter where you're at in the organization. We all have to do it together. We all have to act like owners of the business. The next one, this is my favorite one, is a positive outlook. Who would have thought? I've talked about that before, huh? The fastest way to move up around here is just to have a great attitude. Just be excited. There's no room for complaining. It's just, how can we make this better? Hey, yeah, this is broke. Well, no one was probably doing it intentionally to piss someone off, so it's probably just broke, and we'll fix it. We're going to break a lot of stuff. It's okay. Stuff that worked may not work 6 months from now. And that's okay too. But if we have a positive outlook, like, oh shit, that doesn't work anymore. All right, well, let's fix it. I mean, what are we going to do? Get mad about it? Not really any reason to. It's not really going to solve the problem. There's so many opportunities for people to be positive, for people to attack different challenges, different things that can be better. It can be done. Anything can be done. Trust me. Are people happy to see you when you walk in? Or do they turn and walk the other way? Being positive is the best way to be unforgettable. And when you're unforgettable, guess what? You're going to attract success in your life. When you're positive, you're going to attract success. I've seen very few people like really, really exceed if they're the most negative person on the face of the planet. And if they do, that seems like a miserable life. Why not just be happy? We can probably figure it out. Actually, we can figure out anything. We've figured out everything to this point, so it can be solved. There was a time when we didn't think we could run the inventory system. Well, we run it now. Works. Is it perfect? No. Will it be perfect in 5 years? No. We'll always be working on it. But we figured it out. It was hard. It wasn't easy. Painful in some instances. But we got it figured out. We figured out everything. And you can too. The answers are out there. But the only way that you're going to find them is with a positive attitude. Being negative is only going to push you further away from any answer that you're looking for. Hey, my department needs to improve. Cool. Well, what things can you change? What do you have control over? Where could you make an impact? Those are the questions to be asking. Casting blame is going to get you nowhere. It will literally leave you in the same exact spot. So use urgency. Use your positive attitude. Use your owner's mindset to go figure out what the problems are. And if you don't know, ask. There's a lot of smart people around here. The next is a willingness to grow and change. What do you have control over? Think about it. What today do you have absolute control over? What can you do? We've talked about it numerous times. The hardest part about leadership is the things that you can control are harder to find. When you're an individual contributor, they're pretty easy, right? Do my job. This is what I do. When you're the leader of those people and your job is to remove obstacles and grow people, that becomes more difficult. Where am I going to place my focus? How am I going to help others grow and change? Unfortunately, a lot of the time we're hoping for others to change rather than change what we're doing. Sound familiar? Well, if that technician could just figure it out, I could keep doing what I'm doing right now, and we'd be good. Don't work like that. If you have someone on your team that is struggling, guess who needs to change first? You. Well, that's not fair. Welcome to leadership. Did anyone say parenting was fair? It isn't, by the way, if you're wondering. I have proof. But you're the leader of your family. Here, you're the leader of your department. It's the same thing. You would do anything in the world for your kids. And if you're not getting through to them, who has to change first? You. That's leadership. A willingness to change, even though someone you're leading is not going down the right path. Well, I mean, I've talked to him. Okay, that doesn't seem to be working. Well, I did a ride along with him. Again, doesn't seem to be working. So is it his fault? You as the leader are responsible for that person. So how are you going to get through to them? Now, at a certain point, yeah, you may have tried 5, 6 different things and still can't get through to the person. Well, then it may be time for a more serious conversation. But trying one thing, well, I told them in a meeting, I don't understand why they won't do it. Figure it out. You're in charge. You have to grow and change. Just because you're the leader doesn't mean you just get to do it your way. Your job is to lean in to everybody you lead. And guess what? You're going to have to lead them all a little bit differently. That's the hard part about leadership. That's why it's not cut out for everybody. Are you a better leader in the month of July than you were in June? Now think about that question. I was thinking about this morning just in relation to myself. And I was like, I kind of look in the mirror here. And I said, okay, so if we ask this question, are you a better leader this month? And this can go for anybody. Are you better this month in July than you were in June? The second question is, okay, what are those things? That's where it gets hard, right? That's where I had a tough time this morning. I was like, uh-oh, like, how am I better? What didn't go so well last month, and what did I change? Or am I still doing the same damn thing, hoping for a different result? What I found is the latter was kind of prevalent through my list. Well, that's not going well right now. Well, it wasn't going well last month too, so what'd you change? I changed nothing. Okay, so that didn't work. Where are you getting better? Write those things down. Again, if your department didn't reach their goal last month, are you doing anything different this month? Even on a more granular level, did they hit it yesterday? If they didn't, what are we going to do different today? Because doing the same thing we did yesterday probably isn't going to work. We have to be willing to change. We have to be willing to grow. And guess what? Whatever you do today, if you change, it may not work either. That's okay. You've eliminated 2 things. Now it's time to try something different until you find that thing that works, and then, okay, let's repeat that. A lot of this stuff, again, don't think you're going to just come to the answer. It's going to take time to figure out some of these bigger problems. Trying to figure out how to get through to a technician that's struggling is going to take time. What won't work is a conversation today and then not having a conversation for like 3 weeks. That probably won't work. But it's going to take time. You may not figure out the answer tomorrow. It may not be Monday. It may not be Tuesday. But the key is to stay with it, to keep trying to figure it out. Because when you do that, when you're the one that's willing to change, guess what? You'll get the change that you're looking for in another. Because one time, you'll connect with them and they'll get it. Your change, your willingness to grow will attract others to do the same. But if you go in and do the same thing every week, guess who's not going to change? The people you're leading. They're going to go with the old cross your fingers method and hope for something good to happen today. That ain't great. Don't cross your fingers. Grow and change. You know, we talk about this with the salespeople a lot. If you struggled yesterday, don't do the same thing that you did yesterday. The consistency piece, which is important, is consistently trying to get better, consistently changing, consistently growing. That doesn't mean you need to scrap everything you did, but it's like, okay, where could I make some small tweaks that I know will make it better? That's all. And guess what? You may not sell the first job, and that's okay. Learn from that one. Make a few changes. Figure it out. But your willingness to do that is going to attract success. You can't help but do it. Probably 90% of the people in this world aren't changing a damn thing today. We all know those people. Where are we willing to change? It sucks. It's not easy. It's not fun. I'd rather just do the same stuff I did yesterday. Is that your attitude? Or is it urgency? I'm going to get this. We're going to have a great day today. There's no bones about it. I'm going after it. I'm going to make my own luck today. I don't have my fingers crossed. I'm going to make some changes, and I'm going to go get it. That leads right into the next one. Be a doer. Being successful is about the verbs in your life. You know, we talk about it. Culture is a verb. Why is that? Well, that's how we build culture, is we act. Action. What are we doing to continue to move forward? What are we doing? Not saying, not thinking about, not wishing for. What are we doing to continue to be successful? How can you get more done in a day? I love this conversation. I do this with people all the time. Well, I think we've actually done it on one of these things, but everybody's got the same amount of time, right? You got the same amount of time this week, roughly. But why is it that some people get a hell of a lot more stuff done than others? I mean, they don't have longer weeks that I know of, but they get a lot more stuff done. Now, are you one of those people? Or are you one of the people that's constantly saying, I just don't know how they get all that stuff done? They must have an extra 10 hours. No, they don't. Same amount of time, but they're doers. They find out what's most important. Your day can be filled with frivolous things, firefighting, all of that good stuff, which is going to happen. We're in emergency service industry. So there are things today that are going to pop up that we did not realize were going to pop up today. That's what we signed up for. However, in order to be an effective doer, find the things within the day that you need to get done to be successful, for your team to be successful. What do you need to do? If your job is to make a team successful, what are the things that you need to get done come hell or high water in order to make them successful? Everybody's probably thinking about a few, aren't they? And they aren't the fun ones. They're the hard ones, because that's what moves the needle. The hard ones, not the, I know I always joke when making a to-do list, always make a couple things at the top there that you're going to get done, like get a bottle of water. Check. Got it. Get a few momentumers going. It's always good. But then focus on the ones that are going to make the biggest impact. As a technician, as a salesperson, what are the big things that you need to accomplish while on a call in order to set yourself up for success? What are the big things? You know what they are. They're just not always the easiest. And that's why people sometimes struggle with being a doer, because doers get stuff done, and more importantly, they get the right stuff done. If you don't know what the right stuff is, ask. Think about those people in your life that are doers, that get stuff done, that seem to have an extra couple of hours in the day every single day. No, they know what it is that they need to get done. If you're a leader and you know what you need to get done, guess what? People will follow you. Because if you know what to get done, what's going to move forward, if you know what those are, your team is going to see success, and thus they will follow you. So we've talked about urgency. We've talked about an owner's mindset. We've talked about a positive outlook, willingness to grow and change, and being a doer. Now, let's think about this. If I just had those 5 things, just those 5, and I'm just like, all right, I can do these 5 today, I have a feeling that I could put you in any department in this entire company and you'd be successful if you just had those 5 things. So if you came to me, let's just say you're a technician, you came to me and you said, I've got those 5 things and I'm going to do them to the best of my ability and I'm just going to go after it. Guess what? I could put that person in Brittany's department and they would do really well today. I could take someone from our customer service center who knows very little about HVAC, and if they had those 5 things, if they were just dead set on it, guess what? We could put them in a truck and they could go run 4 calls today and they'd be really successful. Now that may sound crazy, right? Well, they don't know anything about the trade. Well, they don't know what they're looking at. Well, they haven't been doing this. Who cares? If they have those 5 things, I'd put them in a truck. I'd put them on the phone. I'd let them dispatch people. Whatever it is. So if that is the case and you truly believe that, then what are you missing? You're not missing anything. You have everything you need to be successful. I am fairly confident, and this is not taking away from anything that anybody does, but I could take those 5 and I could go out and be a hell of a technician today. I mean, I would crush it. Just with those 5 things. Like, all right, I'm doing nothing else, and I know nothing about any of the trade. Like, no skill, no background, no nothing. And I would take those 5, and urgency, I would roll over people. Like, you would watch out. But do you have that type of attitude for today? Like, watch out. I was listening to something yesterday, and they said a really scary thing for me, so I'm going to throw this out there. But they said, when we think about your job, and they said, how would you act in your marriage if your spouse got to choose to re-up after every year? So if at the end of the year, you put it in an envelope, slide it over, and they get to tell you, based on your performance this past year, are they sticking with you? Are you going? I mean, if you think about it, like in professional sports, that's what they do, right? NFL, there's no guaranteed contracts for the most part. So your performance last season dictates, are we going to keep you on the squad? So what if we looked at every day or every month or every quarter like that in our own position? What if at the end of the quarter or at the end of the month, it wasn't a bonus, but hey, you get to keep rolling. You get to keep leading. You're doing a good job. What would change? I know for me, that text my wife really quickly. Have a great day, honey. It's going to be great. But think about that. Are we acting on a daily basis Is our performance indicative of us always getting better? Are we pushing? Are we moving forward? Guess what? Choice is yours. If you use these 5 things, you don't need to have all the skill in the world. Your value, your unforgettableness is based on things that you can do every day regardless of your skill level. Yes, there are technical pieces of this industry, and maybe that's just my being naive, but I'm fairly certain that if I found a person this is how we recruit top tech kids. I just had this conversation yesterday. I'm like, I think if we just find the right people, probably train them up in 3 weeks and send them on out. And guess what? If they're a doer, they're growing. They may not know what they're looking at, but someone with that type of urgency and go-at-itness, probably going to pick up the phone and call somebody. Probably going to figure it out. They're probably watching YouTube videos at night trying to figure out what they're looking at. They could do it. We all could do it. We're actually going to try that sometime. I'm going to find somebody who wants to, or I may do it. Find somebody who's got these 5 and is just ready to go and give them 2 weeks and send them out. I think it could be done. Yeah, there's some things you got to figure out. If we put you in the call center, you got to navigate Service Titan and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, pick up the phone and help the customer. Have a positive attitude. Guess what? I bet you'll book the call. Yeah, you may have to reach over and have someone else help you with the Service Titan stuff, but you could book a call. You could probably sell a system too. If you had urgency, if you had a positive outlook. I don't know the first thing about selling, but if I was down in that call-by-call room, I would out-call everybody because I can't sell. I'm terrible at it. So I would say to myself, okay, the only way to overcome this is I have to make probably 4 times the amount of calls that everybody else does because they're actually good at this. But I'm just going to call like a madman. I'm going to talk to 100 people today to sell 1 job. So I don't work in there, but if that was the case, so I would know my math. Okay, I'm only this good, so I'm going to have to be really good at these things. And I'm just going to outdo everybody in these things. What's stopping you from having that mentality? Then you stack on skill. How good could you be? If you can close them at 50% and you say, I'm going to outcall everybody in this damn room and watch, what could you do today? Well, if you talk to 100 people and you can close at 50, you're going to sell 50. Now, some of you be like, I don't think you can call 100 people. I'd sure as hell try. Guess what you do if you call 87? Still pretty damn good. That is the mentality. Same thing goes for, like I said, being a technician. Like, I know absolutely nothing about what I am looking at. But by God, that customer, they're going to leave me a 6-star review. And they're going to be so damn happy and so just thrilled with what I'm doing that they may actually say, I need this fixed. Let me make a phone call. We'll figure out what that is that you need fixed, and we'll get it fixed for you. Well, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, they would buy it. But you'd have to over-index in this stuff. These are the things that you have the most control over. Because guess what? I can't build a plumber with Dan's skill in 12 weeks. I can't build him in 5 years. I can't build him in probably 10 years. It won't happen. But what I can do is find someone who wants to over-index in this, and they'll be really good. Because the only way to shrink that knowledge gap is these things. So many people are in their own damn way because of how they look at what it is they're trying to do. Like, just have a positive attitude. That will solve so many damn things. This life and success game, it's super simple. Why it's simple is because we have complete control over it. It's up to you. To become unforgettable, you must act. All of these 5 things require action. You have to do. You have to be willing to do. That's where you're going to elevate. And you're going to elevate so damn fast. That's what it's about. The recipe is simple. Execution, difficult. Because it's not how we're wired, right? Not wired to always look at the positive and do, and change and grow, have urgency. We're not wired like that. We're not wired to be leaders. We make the choice to become a leader. We're wired to look out for ourselves. We're wired to protect ourselves. Leadership breaks that. Be willing to break how you're wired, and then you'll go places that most people will never go. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to get connected, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. As always, keep growing out there.